Hey guys, Pat here. Welcome to Box Office Addict. This is where we break down the weekend numbers and I give my opinion, you guys give your opinion, and we all discuss it and figure it out together. This is an audio check. How does the audio sound? Can someone in the chat let me know? I had some audio issues before, so I just want to double check before we get into this week's show. So whoever is in the chat, please let me know. Can you hear me on the other side? Good. If you can, I'll just keep talking for the people listening so I don't just have dead air here. But Box Office Addict, we've been doing the show for, God, I don't know. I guess we've been doing it over a couple months now. It's been a while because you only do it once a week. But it's me going through the top, not even the top 10, like the top 30, and basically discussing where the industry's at right now, what I feel about these movies, what I think about their performance, marketing, budget. Because you never know with a movie how successful it is or if it didn't actually make a lot of money, even if you thought it was a great movie, or a lot of bad movies actually end up making a huge profit. Sound is good. Alright, cool. Thank you guys. Thank you for letting me know. Alright, well, let's jump in. I'm not going to lie to you guys. This is going to be the fastest episode of Box Office Addict, probably to date. I do have somewhere to be today. So unlike other episodes where I typically are like, hey, I gotta go, and then I spend like 2.5 hours on tangents, and then I end up overstaying. I am going to pace this episode. I have somewhere to be at a point, and I have to leave at some point. So, but that doesn't mean every episode will be shorter. I still like doing the 2-3 hour episodes, and I plan on doing that most of the time, at least 2 hours. But now that we have a title and stuff like that, and by the way, last week did great. I was not expecting that. That episode that was the longest episode of the show went over 3 hours. I thought, oh god, no one's going to watch this. It's currently, right now, like the second most watched Box Office Addict. Right behind the Dark Tower weekend. So, and it might pass it. So that was pretty cool. I'm very happy with that. We did really good last week. We got a lot of people watching this. And we got to get people to join this community of just us geeks who like talking about the box office numbers and giving our own analysis and all that crap, like we're some kind of, like we're all accountants or something like that. We're just sitting around, we got those little hats, and we're like crunching numbers and money and stuff like that, like in those old movies. So that guy's always got one of those little, whatever the heck those hats are, those like little green hats guys always wear in movies, and like with their, like in The Sting or in a casino movie, and they're always counting the money. Like he's that, I don't know why every mobster criminal guy in a movie, he always has to have that guy. He has this guy who wears like the suit, who counts his money. He's like, yeah, boss, we got our cash today, we did it. Yeah, it's past its budget, we're okay. We're releasing it in China in a couple weeks, boss. It's very good. Alright, keep up the good work. Yes, boss. It's very strange, that character. I was watching the ending to the third Pirates of the Caribbean film today, and yeah, it still sucks. It's still a really bad movie. I know that movie got made. Let's jump in. Let me mention Columbus here real quick. This is a film I have a lot of fondness for, and I think it's a very special film, and I think it's one that should be people should seek out. It's only in 63 theaters. It's probably going to be gone soon, and people will have to catch it on DVD or what have you. But John Cho's in it, and it's kind of one of those like performances you would call a revelation. Where he reaches another level, but I highly recommend that movie, and I wish it was doing a little bit better. Alright, let's jump in, baby. Cars 3. 152 million domestic, 367 million worldwide. I'm pretty sure they've broke even. The profits are coming, though, purely from the merchandise on that. Pixar did not give a crap about that movie being a big hit or not. Cars 3 might be the most pointless film Pixar's ever made. Wait. The Good Dinosaur. But it's right there. Logan Lucky, 41 million worldwide, $29 million budget. With the marketing, there's no way they've broke even on that yet, unfortunately. Hello Renaissance, Hello Warrior, Hello Books, Hello Bathory, Hello Kabooms, hello everyone. Welcome to my nightmare. Wait, you know, I said that like Scorpio, but didn't Freddy say that line too? Oh wait, Freddy said that line in Freddy vs. Jason, didn't he? Which, that was after Mortal Kombat. And then he pinballs Jason around. Great cinema. Okay, Girls Trip. One of my favorites. You guys hear me talk about this film all the time. This is the kind of box office I like. This is what Daddy likes. $19 million budget, $115 million domestically, $135 million worldwide. Sequel's definitely happening. I like those numbers. That's good stuff. War for the Planet of the Apes has been having a struggle all summer to really make an impact. It is currently at the same total worldwide as the first film in the trilogy, which is $481 million. And if you go back to when Rise first came out, that's what that film made. Back in 2000 and what was that? What was the date? 2011. So this film's just now caught up with this movie, which was was a lot cheaper. $93 million isn't actually that much for a blockbuster. Remember when this movie was coming out, a lot of people said it was going to be a bomb and they didn't like the trailers. I remember this all over the place, like, oh look, that monkey's jumping at a helicopter, the ape, and it's taking it out. And now it ended up being this huge hit that spawned a trilogy. But this thing cost $150 million and then have a marketing budget. No, I'm sure the new Apes movies made some decent profits at this point, because I mean it's almost at $500 million worldwide. But the domestic total, that's just abysmal, and a lot of this is coming from China, I think. So, and it's kind of get up in the air right now, even if they'll reach $500 million worldwide. This is very interesting, and once again, I hate to bring it up. I've been bringing it up week after week. The film before this made $710 million worldwide, so this is a huge drop. I don't see a fourth film happening yet. I have talked to some people where we all agree we think it could happen if they made it on a lower budget. Like, if they made like $100 million Planet of the Apes movie next, they probably could get away with that. And it would probably still perform pretty okay. Daddy Pat. We probably won't see Apes 4 after that. We might see Apes 4. It's not impossible. Like, don't roll out Apes 4. You know, Alice Cooper's actually the radio DJ in the area I live. Because I live in Pennsylvania and he's a DJ up here. He comes around PA all the time. But Alice Cooper's pretty great. School's out for summer, kids. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Feed My Frankenstein. Dunkirk. $517 million worldwide on a $100 million budget. And then we have the marketing, which I think was $50 million. So, you know, they had quite a bit of money in this movie, but still, there's no way they haven't made a profit. I'm going to guess they made pretty decent profit. Now, I don't think they're going to make $100 million off this movie or anything crazy like that. Because I remember when Interstellar came out, because I read the Deadline report at the end of the year about the profits. And this film cost $165 million, and it made $675 million worldwide. But I think they said it made like a $48 million for the studio. So Nolan got a huge back end on that. So I don't know, with this I see it making pretty good profit, but I don't know how much profit. But I don't know if that really matters, because as long as the studio makes some profit off Nolan and they get all those Academy Award nominations, that's probably what they cared about. They were just hoping this wouldn't bomb. Although I guess you could say it's a hit too. I mean, it's going to make money, but this isn't probably going to bring in the kind of money that he brought in with, you know, like Inception or Dark Knight or, you know, Dark Knight Rises and all that. But that doesn't mean that it's not a successful movie and doesn't solidify Nolan's status in Hollywood. In fact, I think this film is the one that finally solidifies it, where it's like, well, you just have to accept Christopher Nolan. He's not going anywhere. So a lot of people thought he was drifting and losing some of his popularity, but you know, I think he could come right back now with a comic book movie, and it would probably make a crap load of money. Like, he always has that option as a director, and a lot of directors don't have that option. They don't have something they could fall back on as easily as Chris Nolan does. Despicable Me 3, $1,022 million worldwide, $80 million budget. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is the Money Man. You know, this is the Day Man and the Night Man, and they are making plenty of money. Yeah, Steve Carell's going to be cashing that big check. It doesn't matter if Battle of the Sexes or any of the crap he's in makes money. It just doesn't matter. These Illumination films are printing money. They're wiping their butts with it. Certainly everyone who works at the studio is wiping their butts with $20 bills at this point. So they have a series and that's consistently performed over $250 million domestic. And now this series has had 3 films do over $900 million worldwide. Basically $1 billion 3 times, if you count the Minions in the series. Man, holy crud. Illumination just took over. They legit just took over the game. I mean, nobody's even competing with them as far as I'm concerned when it comes to profits. Brad Status, the new Mike White film starring Ben Stiller in that. I haven't seen this movie. I don't know much about this movie. It's only in 450 theaters. Not a great opening weekend. I don't think we'll be hearing much about this movie. And the drops are pretty steep. There's one I'm really upset about, actually, when we get to it. Let's jump through Leap real quick. The foreign animated film. It's made $100 million. Spider-Man Homecoming. Wrapping up its box office performance, because if you remember last weekend, it wasn't that far away from this. We've only went up, unless they haven't updated the numbers. We're at $875 million worldwide, $175 million budget. That's quite a big jump, budget to profit. Currently, this is, ahead of Spider-Man 1 and 2 at the box office, and The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. Not when adjusted for ticket price inflation. Currently, the only film it's below is Spider-Man 3. And all of those films cost a lot more than this, maybe except the first Spider-Man, which only cost like $140 million. But this film, it ended up holding on after some bad drops in the first few weekends, second, third weekend in particular. But the last, in August and September, Spidey finally found his groove, like Stella. Got it back. And it ended up having a pretty good domestic total. $332 million is a wonderful domestic total. Sorry, I need to get some coffee. And then $875 million, great. Also, guys, if you haven't been watching it, I've been uploading a script reading of Cable Guy on the channel in parts. And I know it's long, but it's the whole script of the movie, and I've been playing the part of Steven, and my other friend's been playing Chip, or the Cable Guy. And we want to keep doing that. We want to keep doing these script readings. And we want to pick different movies. So they didn't get a lot of hits. And I know it's going to take a little while to grow, but any of you out there who haven't watched it yet, I ask you to go check it out and see what you think. I'm very proud of this one. I think we did a really good job. It's very minimalist. We just use like a guitar and our sound effects and voices. But I got that in 3-Core Cinema coming out soon. Also, guys, big news. This week, most likely, and I mean this week, my Defenders review is coming out. And my It review, the one that's been waiting for. Now the review of Defenders is really late. That show came out a while ago, and everyone's basically saying everything I would have said. It's like when I did my Game of Thrones review. I said a lot in like 40 minutes, and I thought, oh, this is probably the end. And now every day I get on YouTube, I see a different video being like, Game of Thrones sucks. This writing sucks. I'm not saying I kicked it off. I'm just saying, like, it's really popular now to like crap on Game of Thrones Season 7. And I was like, oh, I don't really want to do Defenders review because I'm just going to be really negative on a lot of things. And now I'm looking and everyone's really negative on the Defenders. So it's like, oh, so whatever. But I will, yes, I promise this week one of those reviews will be up, if not both. The Defenders and my It review. And I've already worked on the thumbnail and a lot of the stuff for those reviews. So I just have to record them. So you guys have been waiting a long time. And I didn't rank my It review the week it came out, which would have been the best time for, yes, It 2017, which would have been the best time for it to get hits. But you guys know me, I never make videos to be successful. That's where I screw up. So I'm doing it way after the fact with Defenders and It. But yeah, the It review is coming. I've been hearing that every day. Every day I get on Twitter or on YouTube and I read like, where's your It review? And I'm like, oh, I feel awful. Okay, Wind River, $32 million on a $11 million budget. This is an indie film that's doing pretty well, directed and written by Taylor Sheridan, who wrote Hell or High Water and Sicario. Very good writer who is turning into a filmmaker now, and he might... I mean, this is a guy who's had a slow-growing success. He was on Sons of Anarchy, but then he writes Sicario. That does okay financially, but very critically acclaimed movie by Denis Villeneuve. Then he writes the script to Hell or High Water, gets a nomination for a screenplay, gets a Best Picture nomination, very acclaimed movie. And then he makes this film, which is actually making more than Hell or High Water did, which is pretty amazing when you think about it, because Hell or High Water had a lot of hype. And it also got very good reviews. So this guy's having his career's going upwards. He's having a very, just really no way to say it, he's just having a great career. He's probably got, he's got some Academy Award nominations in his future, if he keeps it up. Very good writer, though. He's got like a novel-esque approach to a novelist approach to his work. Hitman's Bodyguard. I was waiting for that update. 162 million worldwide. Last time I checked, it was 145. On that $30 million budget, the domestic total's good. 74 million is going to make 75 million. But now that they got this international box office, it puts this whole film over the top. I'm assuming they'd want this to make over 200 million, but it doesn't need to. This pretty much solidifies it making a profit. It's actually one of Ryan Gosling's most successful films if you take out Deadpool. He hasn't actually had that many films that were hits outside of The Proposal and Safe House, so this is actually one of his most successful films. And, you know, Sam Jackson, it's always like either one of his films there's a huge hit or it's not, but then his next film's a huge hit. Sam Jackson's just in so many damn movies, it doesn't really matter. There's about a 45-second to 1 minute lag from when we comment to when it pops up to you. It sounds like we're not commenting. Huh? Oh, I'm not thinking that, dude. Doesn't matter if there's some lag. Ryan Gosling was in... What was he in? I have no idea. In the Hitman's... Oh, did I say Gosling? I'm sorry. Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds. Sorry, I got Blade Runner in my head. My bad. Ryan Reynolds. This is one of Ryan Reynolds' biggest hits, actually. If Gosling was in it, it would be a hit for him, too. Because he actually hasn't been in many hit movies either. But yeah. Sorry. Yeah, for Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, I'm sorry. You guys could tell I got a crush. I got Gosling on the mind. That's the problem. Thinking about him wearing that coat walking down the streets of screwed up Los Angeles in 2049. Okay, so friend request had a bad drop of like 60%. This film's just DOA. It was dead on arrival. It's only made 3.4 million in 2 weeks. This won't be in theaters much longer. I might have to eat some crow here. I said this movie's stronger with Jake Gyllenhaal and directed by David Gordon Green. I said I thought this would catch on and really start to grow with people, and the reviews are great for this film. This film's getting rave reviews. Jake Gyllenhaal is almost certainly getting an Oscar nomination, if not a win. Oops! And he's getting an Oscar nom or a win. I mean, I think he's definitely one of the front runners. You know, it's got 95% Rotten Tomatoes. It sounds like a big tearjerker crowd pleaser. I'd like to see this movie, but last week it opened with 1.6 million, which wasn't great, but I said, well, once the word of mouth gets out, I think this film will actually start doing really well. They expanded the theater count and it dropped 38%, which isn't great because expanding the theater count, it actually should have went up, but this kind of shows the word of mouth not that great, and the film's made 3 million, and I don't know how much it's going to make. This might continue the unfortunate trend of Jake Gyllenhaal's career where he doesn't have a lot of box office draw. Like Nocturnal Animals was a film that I loved, only made 10 million. You know, Demolition was a very interesting film. Not a great movie, 1 million. Nightcrawler only made 32 million. It had a low budget, but like really nobody went to go see it. It wasn't a big hit. You know, a lot of these movies I think should have done a lot better. Prisoners did okay. It did okay for, but it's even then 61 million on a $46 million budget. Source Code's a great movie. I love that film. Actually did pretty well worldwide. But yeah, Jake really isn't a box office star, unfortunately, and I wish he was, because I think he's one of those actors that he's so good you should go see a movie most of the time just because he's in it. I think his performances in those movies make the films worth seeing. Was that the sequel to Unfriended? Oh, that could be. I don't know. Good question. Friended was I remember Friended doing pretty well, though. So you'd want to rewind Gosling's tapes, is that what you're saying? Oh, well, no, if that asshole came in and didn't rewind his tapes, I'd still be very angry. Oh, crap. I just broke the rules. But no. Sorry, I definitely, Gosling, if he came in and didn't rewind his tapes, I would be just as mad. Now, I couldn't do anything about it, because he would come in with that drive, serious, deadpan, stoic face and look at me, and he'd be like, if you don't rewind this tape, I'm going to knock your teeth out. And I'd be like, okay, sir. This tape is getting rewound by me today. I will listen to you, Mr. Guy wearing a scorpion jacket and having a toothpick in his mouth. Gosling looks like he could crush me with, I don't know, sheer not giving a crap. I mean, I honestly think that he's just oblivious to everything else and everyone else's existence. It's like he lives in his own world. That's both a negative and positive thing, but I feel like Gosling lives on this other realm of reality that he understands things a little bit deeper. I'm not saying he's like a genius or that he's going to reinvent the wheel. I just think he tapped into something that's like it's like, oh, okay. Okay, dude, you've reached nirvana. Screw you. Somehow you reached it. I didn't make it there. But I wanted Stronger to do better, and it just isn't. Victoria and Abdul, weird 20 million worldwide. Oh, Stephen Frears, that's right. I know this movie. Judi Dench and Eddie Frears. Stephen Frears actually has had a pretty good career. Or Frears. Most of his movies actually do pretty well at the foreign box office. Like, you look here, The Queen. This film, it made 123 million. He directed two of my favorite films of all time. The Grifters, which I absolutely adore. Great little noir, neo-noir from the 90s. And High Fidelity, John Cusack. Absolutely one of my favorite films. Film that I adore. But yeah, big fan. But he's had some films that actually do pretty well. I think Dirty Pretty Things worldwide. Well, only 13. That's a great film, too. But he's not... Which one was it? Yeah, this one. Yeah, this film made $100 million on a $12 million budget and got some Oscar noms. So he's had a pretty good career, like, with the international box office. His films do pretty well at the foreign box office. He tapped into pussy. He's great in Nice Guys. Like, he plays Wile E. Coyote in Nice Guys. Like, I love that someone tapped into Gosling's goofy side and just let him, like, be the funny, goofy guy. And he really, I mean, he nailed it. He's a very good physical comedian. So he's been a very physical actor, though. I know people get tired of his stoic face and how he does that, but that's just who he is, you know. I think it works for certain roles. That doesn't mean it's good for every part. Like, I could even see that he was pretty miscast in La La Land, but like Blade Runner, he's perfectly cast for a guy who's supposed to play like a detective replicant like world of Blade Runner where everyone's like robotic, and I mean that's perfect. Ryan Gosling looks like a robot. Him walking through there acting like a robot is perfect for Blade. In fact, I've always said I thought his casting makes more sense than Harrison Ford, because Harrison Ford is actually a very charismatic actor, and in Blade Runner, Ridley Scott has him strip it down, and I don't think his performance is that great in Blade Runner. I really like Harrison Ford too, but I think he kind of, like, he couldn't figure the character out. I feel like it's kind of wandering, because he didn't really get a lot of direction. Where Gosling, on the other hand, it's like, and I'm not saying he's a better actor than Harrison Ford at all. I don't think he could play Indiana Jones. It's just casting choices. Gosling's perfect for a noir detective character in a sci-fi universe. I don't know if Harrison Ford is. That doesn't mean that one's better than the other. But you gotta, you know, that's what a lot of movies are. I always say this with movies. People think there's actors that could put any role on like a glove and be great, but that's really not true. A lot of movies just need good casting, and casting is so crucial to getting a role right, is getting somebody who can get that tone and look down. It's not always just that the actor's so good they can play any part. No, the reason Tony Stark was such a great casting choice, it's not because just Robert Downey Jr. is good at those roles. He's perfect for Tony Stark. That's who Tony Stark should be, is how Robert Downey Jr. plays him, like in that way. That's a great movie character. And it sets a standard for other actors to build off of. The same way that Sean Connery did with James Bond. Other people can build their Tony Stark. So, you know, that was genius casting. That, honestly, I think the best casting in the last 10, 15 years, honestly. It was genius by Jon Favreau and Kevin Feige and all of them to let that happen. But that's really what a lot of this is. You know, I don't think people... I hate the idea of a lot of the movie stars today because they star in so much. It's like, well, I'm a superhero, I'm a drama actor, I'm a comedy actor. It's like, we're not good at all of those things as much as people, and they just give them blind praise, like, oh, this dramatic actor was funny on SNL. It's like, yeah, of course they were. They did funny sketches and acted stupid on TV. Of course you thought it was funny. You know, a guy like John Hamm, I think, could do a lot of things, but I'm getting sick of this, like, miscasting movies. You know how many, I mean, do you guys, you know what I mean? Like, you see a lot of movies today and they're miscast. Like, you go watch them, and it's like, you know, this guy wasn't right for this movie, or this chick. Yes, exactly. Any role, it ends up with Johnny Depp just playing any crappy role with the prosthetic. Yeah, that's how I feel like when Johnny Depp, like, I can play anything. It's like, no, you really can't. You really can't, Johnny. You were really well cast in the 90s as Ed Wood and Gilbert Grape and that really made people think you were better than you were, but, like, you can't play everything. Mother! Wait, let's see what the drop was this week. Holy crap, Mother. 55%. Another steep drop for Darren Aronofsky's. I'm not going to call it a disaster, but this definitely isn't a big boost for his career. Except that he got to be with Jennifer Lawrence now, and he got paid a lot. So I guess his career's actually pretty good. Actually. Let me take that back. Life's good. Career? Eh. This is doing what Detroit did domestically. If you remember Catherine Bigelow, she released Detroit, cost $34 million. Art film, controversial, big name director, and it didn't perform that well. Well, here we are with Mother. I've said now for 2 weeks I don't think this film will make $20 million. I'm pretty much right on that one. I will say I was wrong on Stronger. Stronger doesn't seem to be catching on, but I called this one. This film's not making $20 million because it's at the end of its run pretty much. It's made $34 million worldwide. I can't assume the studio's made even a penny off this yet. There's just no way. There's really, have you ever watched I watched an episode of the Castlevania anime. Yeah, good casting makes a good movie. It's true. Casting is so crucial to getting a movie right. The actors, they flesh out the flaws. Joseph, you leave Joseph Gordon-Levitt alone. He's wonderful. But here we are with Mother. I don't know, $34 million, $30 million budget. They had to spend money on marketing. There's no way they've broke even on this yet. So I gotta say, we gotta call this a bomb, don't we? I mean, even if people say, oh, well, it might make money eventually. I mean, this is a bomb, right? Am I wrong? Let me hear, what do you guys think in the chat? Is this movie a bomb, or is it just doing okay? Now, I know we have to take context that it's a very controversial film that got very, mixed positive reviews and people aren't liking it. But still, the studio put money into this. They paid Jennifer Lawrence $15 million. The budget's $30 million. We know they had a marketing campaign, so we got to call this a bomb, right? Because yeah, I'll review Mother. I don't know when. I don't even know what to say about Mother, honestly. I have bomb. I think so. Well, I mean, even so, well, the marketing campaign, I saw trailers all the time. Was I the only one? I saw ads on TV every day for Mother. Like, every time I watched anything on TV, a Mother ad popped up. So, I'm assuming they spent some money on it. I mean, I'm guessing they put some money into the marketing. I don't think they put a lot in, but I gotta say, yeah, I gotta think it's a bomb now. I didn't want to call it just off opening weekend, but I'd see now that we can pretty much call it and say that Mother's not, like Detroit. Detroit was a bomb. Catherine Bigelow's Detroit was a bomb, and I do think it's going to hurt his chance with Oscar nominations. When Detroit was first coming out, I thought, oh, that film will probably get, a lot of, bomb sounds too powerful. Honestly, Mother is more of a whimper. It just dropped a little puff of smoke and came up, but, Till Death Do Us Part, I don't know what the hell this is. 562 theaters, 1.5 million. Okay. I don't. But the thing about Detroit, man, that film, when it was first coming out, was getting great reviews, and I thought, oh, that's probably going to... Then the reviews kept dropping, and then the opening weekend was terrible. It was actually the same as Mother. And I feel that way with Mother. I thought Mother was going to get some noms, but I don't know. I feel like the press is really going to turn on this movie, and they're just going to ignore it when it comes award season. We're not going to be hearing about these movies. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure it's a bomb. I saw Mother ads on YouTube. That's the thing. I saw Mother ads like every day. Oh, sweet. We're at 29 minutes. We're making pretty good time for this quicker paced episode. Okay, Home Again. Reese Witherspoon, one of the biggest stars a few years ago, has now got a movie with a $12 million budget, $25 million domestic. Not much to say here. This movie's been holding on week to week. It's going to be gone soon. It's not a disaster, but it's nothing to talk about. It's a very weird movie. I'm kind of weirded out by its existence, like a movie that makes under $30 million with Reese Witherspoon, and it's like, what is this? American Assassin, which I do have a review up on this channel that nobody watched, which I get. It's funny, I put up the review for this movie before I did my review of It or Defenders. I was like, oh, this comes off like I'm trolling. But I'm not. I wasn't trolling. I just went to go see this movie, and I basically did a review like right after seeing it. With the other movies, I've been thinking about my reviews. But I do have a review up of this movie on the channel. $33 million budget. I said this movie was okay, but not very good, not worth going to see in the theater, so I'm not recommending it, but I do think it's a fun movie on cable. If you were to watch this on cable, it would be funny. The biggest issue is a lot of cliches, one after another, and Dylan O'Brien's not a great lead action hero. He's way too scrawny and young-looking, and I didn't buy him as once as a badass. But Michael Keaton, awesome in this. And it's great to see him in movies. Even this film just doing okay. It wasn't that long ago. Michael Keaton wasn't like somebody who couldn't even get work, really. I mean, he was in a bunch of films that made no money if he wasn't doing an animated voice or showed up in like Herbie Fully Loaded. So this is awesome. I'm very happy for him. It's not doing great. Don't get me wrong. This movie's not really doing well. But $33 million budget, $31 million domestic, $44 million marketing. I do think this had a pretty big marketing campaign, so they probably haven't made any cash off this. But, you know, it's not doing horrible. It's just one of those generic, you know, action movies they release during the summer or at the end of summer trying to make some money, and it ends up, you know, not really doing that great. And, you know, they make those movies, I think, a lot of the time for home video. Recently, I think Michael Keaton's been better than ever. You know, it's not just that I always thought Michael Keaton was good. I think recently he's been really elevating his acting. He's gotten a lot more focused with it. Because I actually think Michael Keaton, it's never that he was bad, he's just been miscast before in movies in the past, where he probably shouldn't have played that part. All the roles he's been playing lately are perfect for him. They're the kind of roles he should be playing. These, like, blue-collar guys. You know, Flatliners is a great concept, but they haven't made a good movie out of it. I mean, I kind of like the first movie in a cheesy 90s Joel Schumacher way, but I get what you mean, man. Battle of the Sexes, nice bump this week. They put it in 1,200 theaters, 3.4 million, had a plus 559.6% increase from last weekend. Opening weekend was 515,000 when it was in 21 theaters. Now it's in 1,200 theaters, did 3 million. This really isn't that bad. This is from the directors of Ruby Sparks and Little Miss Sunshine. Ruby Sparks might show up on an underrated classics episode. Big fan of that movie. But they're better known for Little Miss Sunshine, and it's written by Simon, how do you say his name? Beaufoy? I'm not really sure. But he wrote Slumdog Millionaire, The Full Monty, 127 Hours he worked on. But pretty good career. But this is doing really well. I think Emma Stone and Steve Carell both have box office power. Obviously, with La La Land making the money it did, and Birdman was a hit, and you know, I don't think she always is in hit movies, but when they're in the right movie, it's a hit movie. This is getting pretty good reviews. I think if they handle this well, this movie can end up making a little chunk of change, because you know, this isn't bad. And if next weekend it holds on, you know, and does like, you know, 3 million or 2 something, you know, they might be able to. Still, 4 million's not great, but this film didn't look too expensive, and they're releasing it gradually. So I don't know. It's really tough to call right now. It's very early. But it doesn't, you know, Birdman would be a good contestant for overrated classics. Well, I hate doing that with new movies, though, because, like, can you really call a film a classic when it's only been out for a few years? Like, I know people throw out, it's about when Billie Jean King played that guy in Tennis back in the 70s. It was that big media circus. Is what it was. But the, I don't know. My thing with doing an overrated classic that's a new movie is, I know some people call it an instant classic, but when you talk about a new movie, I feel, because like 10 years from now, people might all hate Birdman, and then my video would seem kind of stupid. That's how I see it. So I like to wait a little while, because it's like, well, you don't know it's a classic till you give it some time. I've been hearing Battle of the Sexes features Emma Stone's best performance, and she just came off an Oscar win, but I've read almost universally in the reviews she is amazing in Battle of the Sexes and kind of steals the movie. So, you know, I haven't seen it yet. I hope it's a good movie. Flatliners. This is a remake of a Joel Schumacher film from the 90s. Ben Ripley wrote this, and he worked on Source Code. I remember hearing about him writing a script to this years ago. I kept hearing, Ben Ripley worked on Source Code, and I was writing a script of Flatliners remake, and I was like, what? But yeah, this is not a good opening weekend. The trailers I thought looked okay, the ones after the first. I didn't think this film was going to be good, but people kept saying, no, dude, it's going to be good. I got a lot of people telling me that, like, no, dude, it's going to be better than you think. It's actually doing really well. Please, I see your point. I'm just saying that these new movies will try to be T2 and what T2 was to T1. They won't try to consume This guy's really trying to convince me that this new Terminator film is going to be brilliant. It's like, I hope it is. I really do, but I don't know. So 9 million worldwide, 6 million opening weekend. The budget's pretty low, 19 million. This continues the thing where Ellen Page has no movie career. When she isn't in Inception and Juno and X-Men, like, her career's been awful. I really like Ellen Page, actually, as an actress, but yeah, her career just hasn't really worked out. Remember when Juno came out and she was going to be a big star? Didn't happen. And I don't think Inception made money because of her. So yeah, Flatliners, not a great opening weekend. Getting abysmal reviews. It's got like 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. They say it's terrible. I don't see this sticking around too long. Luckily, they didn't spend a lot of money on it. I was kind of worried it was going to have like a $30-40 million budget. The Lego Ninjago movie dropped 41%. Pretty steep for an animated Lego film. 35 mil domestic, 58 million worldwide. I have no idea what the budget on this film is. Let's try to find that on Wikipedia or something. You know, let's see. Hold on. Because, yeah, it's hard to, you know, I haven't found 70 million. All right, so the Lego movie cost 69 million and Lego Batman, I think, cost 80. So 70 million. This might not reach that, actually, domestically, now that I'm looking at it. Yeah. So this is definitely a big drop for the Lego franchise. Because the first Lego movie made 257 million domestic, and the Lego Batman made 175 million in the States. This doesn't look like it's going to break 100 million. And for this being, you know, this franchise, you know, I don't even know why they really made this movie. Oh, God, don't do the updates right now. That's the worst when they do the site updates, and we can't keep clicking on these. So, that definitely, I was worried about it being so early. They do these damn site updates around 3 or something. So was Dark Knight, to be fair. I don't get, what do you mean, Dark Knight, to be fair? I don't understand off of what I was talking about. The Dark Knight's an overrated classic? Is that what you were talking about? I'm not really sure. I'm not sure what the point was, but, I don't know, it's crap. They should have just called it the Lego Ninja movie or something, or Lego Ninjas. I thought the marketing was crap. But yeah, to go from a franchise starter like the Lego movie that made, like, a lot of money and was critically acclaimed and a lot of people thought amazing and kind of solidified the career of those directors, to go to this where it's like, does anyone even know this director? Oh, God, don't update. Oh, God. Okay, well, they're doing an update, so I'm not going to be able to talk. Crap, I'm going to have to go to boxoffice.com. Yeah, warning about going to Box Office Mojo on Sundays. They spend a long time on Sunday updating the damn movies, and they end up holding up they end up holding you up for a while. Okay, so let's go to boxoffice.com. Sorry about that. A remake of Joel Schumacher film from the 90s. I guess? I'm not really... What? What was it a remake of? 8mm? Because Dark Knight wasn't... What was... I'd like to know what remake it was of what Joel Schumacher movie, 9mm. So it certainly wasn't a remake of Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. I can tell you that much. It's nothing like those two movies, which I've seen all of them an absurd amount of times. More times than I should have, honestly. Alright, anyway, let's look on boxoffice.com here. So let's knock these last ones out pretty quick, because I gotta get going here not in a little bit. I got a little bit of time. Line of Lego figures. Yeah, maybe the ninja thing just didn't catch on. Like, I'm thinking maybe ninjas just wasn't as appealing as Batman and Star Wars and Legos and all that stuff. Yeah, Dark Knight's a total remake of Batman and Robin. I see your point. I love when Christian Bale takes the rubber lips off at the end when he kisses. He takes his rubber lips off, and then Christian Bale's like, "They were rubber lips." And then they kick Rachel into a big plant. And then the Joker's like Jim Carrey. No, not Jim Carrey. He's like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's just saying puns. He comes to the party, and he's like, "The joke's on you now." Just kidding around. Well, I'm being Freddy Krueger. That's a Freddy Krueger voice. One of the greatest moments ever is in Nightmare on Elm Street 2. a guy comes up to Freddy and he's like, "Hey, buddy, you okay? Do you need some help?" And Freddy goes, "Help yourself, fucker!" And then he, like, cuts the guy's chest open. I do that all the time. People come to me like, "Do you need help?" And I'm like, "Help yourself, fucker!" It's just a reaction. I can't help it. It's just like, that line's genius. But no, I just picturing the Joker now, like, at the beginning. Help yourself! I'm very excited that Blade Runner 2049 is getting great reviews. That makes me very happy. Although it's not really surprising being Denis Villeneuve. Okay, Kingsman 2. I don't know what the worldwide box office is because Box Office Mojo cut me off. Unless they freaking got the site back up. There we go. Kingsman 2. 17 million second weekend. Not great. Okay, 56% drop. The first Kingsman, which got much better reviews, and I thought actually had a more impressive opening weekend, 36 million when it opened in 2015, and actually ended up opening like 41 million over the holiday. It was Valentine's Day. Made 414 million worldwide. I think this was a super impressive performance, right? But I've said many times, and I think it was right, the marketing was awful for Kingsman 2, The Golden Circle. Oh, come on, Box Office Mojo. But I thought the marketing was terrible. It wasn't distinct enough from the first movie. They didn't expand the audience. The marketing was confusing. There was a lack of a villain. The first film had clearly a villain. You know, you knew Sam Jackson was the villain, and that was a big reason you went to go see it. They didn't even put Julianne Moore in the trailers hardly, and they kept pushing Channing Tatum and the Statesman, and Channing Tatum actually isn't in the movie that much as you might think. They put him all in the marketing like, oh, it's the Channing Tatum in there, and they don't really use him well. Jeff Bridges they hardly use in the marketing. I think they were relying on a lot of people coming back to see Colin Farrell and Eggsy and all that. Don't get me wrong, 39 million wasn't a bad opening weekend, but it's basically the exact same opening weekend as the first film, which opened a couple of years before and was a surprise hit, where everyone thought this was going to be a hit, and they put a lot into the marketing. I've seen trailers after trailer for this movie. The FX has this whole Archer short they made. The budget's higher. I don't think this is going to make the same amount of money. I don't think this is going to end up at 128 million domestic. It'll make 100 million, probably, but I don't see this doing. Now, that doesn't mean it won't pass the first film at the foreign box office, as this film cost about 20-something million more, and it's got 192 million worldwide, so it could end up making over 400 million and surpassing the first film, which would be a hit for the studio. Although it doesn't need to make that. I think if this film makes 350 million, they'll consider it a success. I don't think it needs to make the first film's. So that budget's actually, I thought the budget on this was going to be like 140 million. I'm honestly shocked how low the budget is. You know, it sucks with this. It feels like Matthew Vaughn didn't care. Like he made this even though he kind of didn't want to. It felt like he kind of lost. And this is the first Matthew Vaughn film I haven't really loved. I've really liked X-Men and First Class and Kingsman and Kick-Ass and Stardust. I really like Layer Cake. And I thought Kingsman was a great film to make a sequel. I thought the third act of the first film was perfect setup for a sequel. And this film really didn't follow up on any of those things in any way. It went to all the wrong places with excess and kind of lost the grit that made that first film so interesting. It was that it was so absurd but so gritty at the same time and charming while also being really gory and an adult movie while also being like very much almost a family film in its tone. Where this, on the other hand, this is just Matthew Vaughn swinging at the fences. Some people really like this movie and think it's really good and entertaining. I think they're not seeing it the way that other people are. They're just going to see it, and that's fair. You're judging it for what it is, but you know, it's still a movie that should be something else. It shouldn't be this kind of popcorny, silly, goofy 2.5 hour. You know, just all this. Having Eggsy keep the girlfriend, I thought that was a bad choice. Like, really bad choice, the girlfriend. It ticked me off. Like, he shouldn't still be with the princess chick from the first movie. It's Fox again, like they screwed Apes. You're totally right. Fox has been awful with their marketing this year. Totally true. It hurt the Apes franchise. Now you're just Crispin Glover from River's Edge. This beer's warm! Where's Batman? I don't like it. Listen. Batman's one dumb motherfucker. His freaking beer's warm. I don't like it. What doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger. I have high hopes for Dennis. I said Denny's Dune movie too. I think he's honestly There's only a few directors I'd like to see Dune. Spike Jonze, him. There's a handful of guys I want to see do Dune. Although I'd rather see a Dune TV series. So let's see. Lego Minecraft. I agree. That actually sounds like a hit movie. Good idea, man. Although they are making a Minecraft movie with Rob Corddry from It's Always Sunny. Sorry. American Made, Tom Cruise. Now, I put this in the title because I thought this was going to be the #1 film. If you actually went and looked at Friday, it was a 3-way tie between Kingsman, American Made, and It. And It just snuck up past it this last day. It still does. American Made might come out ahead when the actuals come in. But American Made, due to good reviews, I feel. This is a film that cost $50 million, had a pretty decent marketing campaign. It's already at $81 million worldwide. This is directed by Doug Liman, who directed Go and the first Bourne Identity movie. And he directed Tom Cruise in one of Tom Cruise's absolute best films, Edge of Tomorrow, or Live, Die, Repeat. Damn, I hate when I always do these streams, I have to start coughing at some point. Anyway, Doug Liman, director I like quite a bit. His biggest hit was Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but Edge of Tomorrow is terrific. Jumper sucks. I like The Bourne Identity. I really like Go. I didn't see his film The Wall this year. Doug Liman's a pretty quirky guy, too. If you see him in interviews and stuff. But 81 million worldwide. I gotta say, I think this is actually pretty successful for Tom Cruise, because his box office prowess has been dying off for a while, but his last few films, they're making the argument that he's kind of getting his groove back, that people are getting over the Tom Cruise stigma. Now, I think Edge of Tomorrow was hurt by Oblivion sucking so much, because Oblivion actually had a great opening weekend for what it was, 37 million, and the marketing, and Jack Reacher ended up being like a little hit. But, you know, the Mission Impossible films always do well. Rogue Nation made 682 million. But his Jack Reacher film had a really good opening weekend, but didn't hold on very well. People didn't like that movie very much. But like all Tom Cruise movies, they usually break even worldwide, so it did okay. Edward Zwick did that. Really like him. And it's actually the same budget as the first Jack Reacher, which is impressive. But with The Mummy, a film that I think could have been a bigger hit, but it got terrible reviews. Still, 31 million opening weekend, made 400 million worldwide. You know, Tom Cruise, he isn't totally done. I mean, he's in his 50s, and he's still opening films to, like, 20, 30 million. And we don't really have a lot of movie stars anymore. I mean, Jennifer Lawrence isn't opening any of these films lately. You know, Cruise has that issue a lot. But the reason I'm excited about this movie is it goes back to 80s Tom Cruise. Remember 80s Tom Cruise when he was just kind of a jerk? And he just kind of got by, and he was like a schemer, and you liked him despite those things like Maverick and The Color of Money, and even Risky Business, he's kind of a dude where you're not sure. I like when Cruise plays those types of characters, like the Jerry Maguires, a guy who is a little cold and detached in business, but he tries to do the right thing sometimes. I think that's Tom Cruise at his best. I've been hearing praise about this, him in this in particular for being in this, but the reviews got really good for this, 87% on Rotten Tomatoes. And the opening weekend ended up being good. I was hearing some rumors of it doing 20, but 17 million, #2 behind It, which took the #1 spot again. And I think this film could make 200 million worldwide, if not more, and at the budget being 50 million, if this makes over 200 million, I'd say this film's pretty successful. It's not going to be a huge hit, and I don't know how well it'll do domestically, because 17 million is not a great opening weekend, but it's not a disaster, and this film could have opened, I think a lot of other people, this film would have opened under 10 million. Like Matthew McConaughey's been in a couple films like Gold and his films that they just bomb. They open to nothing. You know, at least Tom Cruise can still get people to go to the cinemas and the matinees. So I'm excited to see this movie. I'm happy it did this well. I think this is a pretty decent opening weekend. It's better than what it could have been. They are probably hoping for better, obviously. But it is what it is. But this isn't him doing an action movie. And I think this is a good move for Tom Cruise's career. I think... no, Edge of Tomorrow isn't actually a sequel, though. It's a prequel. It's a prequel to Edge of Tomorrow. It takes place before the events of the first movie, actually. But before we go on to it, let me just bring up Kingsman again. This is a bad drop. Like, when I brought up the first movie's drop was a lot smaller than that. It was 49%, which was still a pretty steep drop. But then if you saw after that, it was like 35, 30, 25, 25, 35. Like the holds were great. Kingsman 2, on the other hand, 56% drop in its second weekend. I think that's going to continue happening. So I think this film's actually going to start dropping pretty steep. Now, the foreign box office is going to save it, obviously. But, you know, I'm going to end up saying it's going to be a disappointing performance if it doesn't surpass the first film. That's disappointing because it cost more. And, you know, you have a lot more hype and you have the goodwill of the first movie that's become a cult classic for a lot of people. And, once again, I think it was all the marketing. I think the marketing killed this movie. Because this movie didn't need to be good to be a big hit. Bad movies still have huge opening weekends. I think this could have opened to 50, 55 million had they marketed well. But, like, nobody talks about this movie. It just got the same audience. And now that it went from being #1 to dropping to #3 behind Tom Cruise and It, I mean, that's not good. Like, Kingsman 2 should have easily won the second. Oh, Rain Man, he's terrific. And that's the kind of character I'm talking about. In Rain Man, he's kind of a jerk. But then he becomes a good guy. Isn't that the best kind of Tom Cruise when you guys think back on it? Like Frank T.J. Mackey from Magnolia. Or in, I think Edge of Tomorrow is going to be about his character before the sci-fi stuff. And it's not actually a sci-fi movie or something like that. It's more of like him playing that guy. I'm not sure. Tom Cruise said it's going to be a completely different kind of movie from Edge of Tomorrow. Like, it's not going to be a big sci-fi action film. It's going to be a different kind of movie. So, I don't know. But that's what I've heard. Okay, so let's get to it, man. #1. 41% drop. 17 million opening weekend. 553 million worldwide. Holy crap. $35 million budget, probably a $30 to $50 million marketing campaign. Let's say they have 70, 80 million in this movie. Let's just go big, right? 291 mil domestic. They're gonna pass 600 million worldwide soon, which a lot of people were telling me they thought was gonna be the top out point for this movie. I don't think Blade Runner 2049 is gonna get a boost, actually. I really don't. I think that 40 to 45 million opening weekend's pretty stuck. Because, here's the thing, Blade Runner's not that famous. Like, not a lot of people have seen it that are young. It's a famous movie and people love it, but it's not one of those movies that's made, that's one of the most successful films of all time. It's just not. Blade Runner was a bomb in the 80s, and it did well in video. I just don't think Blade Runner 2049, I don't think there's a big enough audience. Now, I think after the opening weekend, it might do really well if people like it. But it's an art house film like the first film was. A lot of people, you know how many people I've showed Blade Runner to think it's boring and don't like it? A lot. So I'm not sure. Even if Blade Runner 2049 is a really good movie, that doesn't mean it'll do well. You got to think about that. It doesn't mean it's going to be a hit movie. There's a lot of things that make a movie a hit. And part of it's being a crowd pleaser. I think what they're going to do with the flashback is they're going to show us stuff that we didn't see in the first movie to give a new context or reveal new mysteries that the first film didn't have. Do you think Warners are considering doing more reshoots to make Pennywise the bad guy in Justice League? Yes. Anyway, 17 million, fourth weekend. We went 123, 60 million, 29. Now, these drops, 51, 50%, those aren't bad. I got to get going here soon, so I need to wrap this up. 17 million weekend, fourth weekend. It's the smallest drop so far, 41%. So this film's definitely going to make 300 million domestic. But I remember a lot of people, I asked you a couple weeks ago, where did you think this was going to end up? And the common answer, on average, was 600 million. Now that it's at 553 and we're still in, I think we could say that's going to happen. And is 700 million out of the question? I don't know if it's come out in all of its international markets yet, but the international performance is what's impressing me. I mean, after the opening weekend, I knew this film was going to do well domestic. Of course it's going to make this kind of money. It's huge. But the foreign box office on this is insane. Holy crap. Those are huge numbers. No horror movies even come close to those kind of numbers in years. So it's just not... This is nuts. I mean, this is huge. I've said this, you know, for 4 weeks now, this is huge. But this really, like, seeing that number there, seeing that 553 million, it's like, oh my god, that's insane. Those are just huge numbers. It's definitely going to make 6. So I say we can't roll 700 million out anymore. Yeah, just put the Joker in there, screw it. Yeah, you're not wrong. But still, 700 million worldwide seems like a possibility for a film that cost $35 million. That's insane. The profit margin, they're going to be fighting between Despicable Me 3 and Get Out. Well, no, Get Out probably isn't going to make this much profit. And Beauty and the Beast. But I think it's going to probably win. I mean, because I just don't see how this film isn't going to make them like 300-something million in profit. This is making more money. This is making like Deadpool money. Like, it won't make this much domestically as Deadpool. Deadpool made like 365 million here. But this pretty much doing Deadpool money, and it costs less than Deadpool. And it's a huge, huge hit. So, all I'm seeing here is one of the most successful films, not only of the year, I think one of the most successful genre films to come out in the last few years. Here's the comparison I'm going to make to it, and let me know if you guys agree with this. Would you think it's wrong to say this is the equivalent, this is the horror film box office performance to what The Hangover was as a comedy performance when it came out? Because if we go back and look at the Hangover when it came out, The Hangover was, you know, a film that a lot of us thought was going to do well, and the marketing was good and all that, and it cost $35 million. Then the opening weekend was huge for the time. $44 million for a comedy was huge. And that ended up making $467 million worldwide. And I don't even like The Hangover, but it was considered a modern classic. And it made a bunch of money, and it kicked off a trend of movies, and it had 2 sequels, and it kicked off careers. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be like that, but financially, how this performed as a comedy in 2009, 8 years ago, we're coming up, I mean, on 10 years ago almost, this film probably made $600 million worldwide, if we're being fair with inflation. Let's just look at the adjusted for inflation, what The Hangover did. $330 million, yeah, which is where I think it's going to end up. This was an R-rated movie that transcended the genre it is, which is a typical comedy, and became a blockbuster, and appealed to audiences wider than those that typically go see a genre, and ended up being one of the most successful comedies of all time. I think this is the closest comparison I can make for it, is that it very much is the same kind of movie The Hangover. Now, not the kind of movie it is, obviously, but I'm just saying, I'm saying this reminds me of this. When this came out and this was a surprise hit and it made so much money. I mean, it really was a blockbuster movie, this movie. And it really was like, I mean, it was one of the most successful films. Everyone went to go see The Hangover. I didn't even like the film, and I saw it and thought about seeing it a second time just to make sure. It's like, maybe it was better than because it was just such a big deal. And that's how it is. Like, it's so big. People who probably had no interest in going to see this movie are going to see it because it had such a big opening weekend and everyone's talking about it. Like, they really did such a good job with the marketing and expanding the audience and getting people into this. It's honestly the best marketing Warner Brothers has done in years, since like the Harry Potter franchise, which maybe didn't even need marketing, to be honest. But wow, talk about just nailing it. This is how a studio should do it. This is box office 101. You're supposed to take a product, a property that people love, something that's hip, a horror movie, genre. You take the killer clown aspect, really big. You take a beloved book or a miniseries. You take a name like Stephen King. You have all the elements there, nostalgia, just like Force Awakens had. That's the biggest bet that Blade Runner's going to have for the box office, is if they can get the nostalgia. If they can get people to go see it, to see Harrison Ford. Zack Snyder. I can't wait to review Justice League, because I'm just going to keep referring to Zack Snyder and Jaws Whedon. Not Jaws, Jaws. Because he's a predator. Any thoughts on the newest South Park episode about Randy versus Columbus Day? I thought it was okay. I liked it better than the other 2 episodes. I mean, I got off my ass and went to the movie theater first time to see it, so it's possible. I agree. That's how you make money, when you get people to go see a movie they didn't think they were going to go see. I know a lot of people that had no plans to go see it, and they end up going to the theater to see it. Like Deadpool was. A lot of people didn't know they were going to go see Deadpool before they saw it. That's what a good movie, that's what a good box office film does. That's how you make, because you keep making money. You don't just make all your money opening weekend. Where it's like, hey, it had a big because a lot of movies have good opening weekends. You know? That doesn't mean it holds on, though. Or that it's going to kick off a franchise or keep making the studio money. You know, when you go on to Netflix or any of those places, and you see all those movies that a studio made, like, wow, Wizard of Oz, or if you start just going down your head, you're like, wow, look, Terminator, Wizard of Oz, Superman, like all these movies you love. Those films are still making money years after they come out. Now, sure, the people who originally invested in those movies don't care. That's a good point. But, you know, for a studio, for what its brand is, what keeps a studio relevant? People don't get this. Why is Disney still so popular? Branding. They never lost that. Mickey's still iconic. Now, Mickey's not even their flagship, though, but, like, they're remaking their old movies, like Beauty and the Beast or The Jungle Book, and those films are making $1 billion. They're making The Lion King again. They're able to take their old properties and make them again and make huge money off them because people still love The Lion King and still love Beauty and the Beast. They never died off. They kept those things so relevant and popular. I try to explain that week to week. It's not just having a movie that's a hit initially. It's a movie that's a hit forever. It's a movie that never stops being a hit movie. It's a movie that never stops being a popular movie. It's a movie that gets a dozen DVD releases. It's a movie that keeps showing up on streaming service, that's on cable, that people keep buying, that people buy posters and t-shirts for. That's why Star Wars is Star Wars. It's not just because New Hope was a big hit. If New Hope was just a big hit, that wouldn't be enough. It's the fact that Star Wars has stayed relevant and popular from the 70s to now, and still makes money, that it didn't die off at all, that people didn't lose interest. This It movie, I think what's so great about it as a success, it's going to keep making money on DVD, it's going to keep playing well on cable, they're going to have a sequel that makes money, and they're going to be able to keep this film on any streaming service or anything they have at Warner Brothers, and people are going to watch it. They have a property now that's not going to die anytime soon because it stayed relevant from the book in '86, and the miniseries kept it relevant. Pennywise has never died off in the pulp culture. He's still part of just our culture. Everyone knows Pennywise. Where Kingsman, on the other hand, is a franchise that maybe in 10 years people won't be talking about anymore, and people won't even remember that Kingsman was even a thing. That doesn't mean when it initially came out it didn't make a bunch of money and people weren't happy with the profits. But when you make money, you want to keep making money. This is what keeps a studio going. Warner Brothers is going to live forever off this stuff, like Harry Potter. Like, this is the kind of stuff that's going to make you money 20 years from now. And keep the brand high. Keep the brand of Warner Brothers. The more popular films a studio has, the greater they can make money off that whole library of films, not just one film that was successful. When you have several films, like Fox might recover from this thing because they have this library now with Planet of the Apes and Kingsman and stuff, you know. Like, even though War's not breaking box office records, this film's probably, because this trilogy's really popular, I think this trilogy and War is going to still be a popular movie 10, 20 years from now, and it's not going to really go away. I think people are still going to be talking about these films. So that's got to be noted. The goal with the box office is to make a film that's a hit when it comes out, definitely. Make your money. But also to make a film that stands with people and still makes money and still stays relevant so that other movies you make that are like that movie or in that franchise or with the same actors, what have you, continue to make money. Like back in the day, the studios made the westerns all the time because they made money all the time. You know that, or today with superhero films, it's because people like superhero films. This movie capitalized on the popularity of horror films right now, and it took it to that next level, and this is only going to benefit the industry, and especially the studio that made the movie. So, great work from Warner Brothers New Line here. Guys, I gotta go. I really gotta get out of here, so I'm sorry. I gotta go catch something real quick. I'm sorry, this is gonna be... It's not the shortest episode. I think the shortest episode was 1 hour and 4 minutes. Yeah, we're right there. So sorry, this is short, so I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you for watching Box Office Addict. Leave your predictions in the comments if you didn't catch this live. I'm gonna try to do this on a regular schedule of either 2 to 4 o'clock Eastern every Sunday. This one was early because I have something to do, and I legit have to go right now. I only have like 20 minutes to get there, and I have to drive. But anyway, thank you for watching. I love you guys. I wish I could do more interaction. I wish I could have talked more. I tried to get all the numbers out and give you guys some jokes. This was a really fun week. There was actually a lot to talk about here. I would love to discuss this stuff more, but I just can't. I don't have the time. But anyway, you guys are all addicts if you're watching this with me. We're all addicted to it on some level. And I love movies, and I love talking about them, and I love every detail of it, be it the marketing or the budgets even, or quality, all that stuff. And this gives us the ability to talk about all that. Try to do a longer stream next Sunday and cut a little deeper. I do like to go longer, but for all those people out there that don't like the long episodes and don't click on this because they think it's too long, well, here's your short episode. Tell me what you think. Let's try it out. This is the short version. You know. So anyway, Planet of the Apes, Despicable Me, Dunkirk, good. It, amazing. It's actually doing amazing. And American made, okay, opening weekend. Kingsman, pretty bad drop. Baby Driver's at 224 million worldwide. Just wanted to check that real quick. But anyway, this is Pat from Please Rewind. And make sure to rewind those VHS tapes. Make sure to hug your loved ones. And stay away from Zack Schneeder. He's deadly. And, yeah, Ryan Gosling, Ryan Reynolds. Who cares? Doesn't matter. It's like the Chris's. They're all the same person anyway. See ya! Good bacon. Bacon. Bacon, bacon. Bacon, bacon. Bacon, bacon with Megan. Oh, man. Oh, this bacon's good. I'm gonna get me more of that bacon. When it hits your lips, it's so good.